everyone, this is Mary with Studio B, and I'm bringing you some practices from our accessible movement series, our beginner series. And this practice, and actually not more of a practice, it's more of a talk, is going to be about self-care at your desk. So many of us spend the majority of our weekdays and sometimes weekends in front of a screen, whether we're at home or at the office. And part of the problems with chronic health issues is being in one area in the body, always in stillness. So part of what I like to do with my students is really check in with the body and give them gentle reminders and movement to use throughout the day when they're working at their desks. So this part of the series, I'm just going to go over some things we can check in with that we don't usually do that will help you make small adjustments that make big differences. So the first is, as I'm sure you've read and seen, is a good desk chair. But basically what that means is that you have your feet are firmly planted, whether they're on the ground, or else you can get those little comfy platforms or a blanket or a pillow, but making sure that your feet have support. And the reason being is that throughout the day, our weight can get distributed unevenly, so that can start to lead to bad posture. So having the feet firmly planted, whether it's on the ground or something underneath to support it, will help in throughout the day for when you're sitting at your desk. Another thing I like to check in with is the support for your back. So that can mean one of two things. You want to have a supported lumbar, your lower lumbar area. You can put a pillow in between you and the desk chair because you don't want to have a gap where you're leaning back or you're hunching forward. So finding a little bit of support underneath your back, it can be with a pillow. You can even roll up a towel just in the little lumbar area right here. And this is going to give you support. So when you're finding yourself getting tired, as we do, when you go back, there's a little bit of rest here. And last, for the back, we're going to check in with this area here. Now, I have a tendency to round down as I get tired. So throughout the day, I have a reminder on my phone, and it goes off. You can put it on your desktop. And this reminds me to bring the shoulders back over the hips. So this can happen like every half an hour. So to recap for this part, feet firmly on the ground, lower lumbar support, shoulders are going to be over the hips. And this is why, if we're straining here, if we're going forward and looking at our screens, we're getting a pull in the cervical area. And if we're rounding down, that means we're collapsing and we're getting the shoulders and the lower back are getting compressed together. So the reason we want an upright spine is to give everything space and freedom for movement. Another thing for self-care at your desk is where your keyboard is. So basically you want to have it, if you're looking at your forearms and where your hands are resting on your desk, you don't want to go up and you don't want to go down. And we've all seen those wonderful little, I think it's foam that goes underneath the wrist area. So you can type without straining the hands. Another thing I like to do for the forearms and the arms is a little movement throughout the day. Again, this can be with a reminder with your shoulders coming back or forward over the hips. But we can simply, if you want to put your arms on your desk, you can, and you just bring up an arm and you're going to rotate the wrist. And this movement can be small, this can be large. Again, these are all things that help move the muscles in different ways. Instead of going like this all day, we can also go like this. We want a full range of movement. And these things can be done when you're on Zoom. People can't see you with your hands down. And then you can switch hands. And again, you don't have to have a large movement, but we want to counteract this movement all day or this all day. So again, we're just checking in with the area that can be moved in a very small but maximize the impact. So rolling the wrist is another way to check in with self-care. So we're looking at the posture, looking at where our arms and our hands are. So if you think about it, where else do we have a lot of tension when we're sitting all day? In this area here, right? And that goes up into the neck and the head. So the reason we don't want our hands too far up is because that will stress all the way up here. We're all connected in a whole body. And we don't want to go down because then we're pulling the opposite way. So it really does pay to check in every once in a while, whether that's every 15 or 30 minutes. And it can be unobtrusive. It can be a little bubble that pops up and tells you just to move in a different way than you are right now. The last thing I want to check in with for self-care at the desk is we're in a forward motion all day. So if we're thinking about where our arms are when we're typing and where the body is, it's nice to do some side-to-side motion. Something that I found that can be very helpful is this shifting the sit bones. And it's not a large movement. I'm kind of rocking back and forth on my hips. And then I can move the shoulders a little bit. And this is giving me a little stretch. I can do it at my desk. I could do it when I'm typing. Maybe not do it when I'm on the phone with my boss, but the boss might not care. They might do it too. But we're getting this side-to-side motion instead of this forward motion. We're really, really feeling that nice movement. And if you want, you can bring the arms down and move like this as well. So if you can really feel that full side-to-side motion in the hips, you can add in the shoulders. This breaks up that forward and back repetition and gives us a broader range, which all means a healthier body. And also gives us a little bit of the blood's flowing, so that means it's going to make us a little bit more alert. So we checked in with where the feet were, that they're supported, the seat, lower lumbar area, getting that support underneath there, tuning in to bringing the shoulders back over the hips. We don't want to round forward or round back. Making sure when we're resting our arms that they're on an even plane. It's okay to get that little strip. You can even roll up like a dish towel if you don't have the padded keyboard rest. Those are very helpful. And then going to the side-to-side motion when we need a little bit of movement. Again, these are all things that we can do seated at our desk. It's not a large, grand movement, but these can really break up the day, get the blood flowing, which will help us take care of ourselves in the grand scheme of things as we do work in a seated position. Or also if we're standing, we can do all these things too. The only thing is the lumbar support will be a little bit different. But again, just always checking in with the feet, the seat, and the hands. It's what we come back to in practice all the time. And all of these things will add up to big differences. So I'm so glad you're tuning in for the series for accessible movement. Check back in for more tips and practices, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.